Hello and welcome to another Unity training video brought to you by 3D Buzz. Over the next several training videos, we're going to be walking you through the process of creating a basic camera and character system here within Unity. A third-person character system here within Unity.
We do mean basic. It has a lot of features, but it's just a starting point that we're going to use to build on.
That's right. We're actually going to be breaking the full construction of our third-person character system up over 3 separate video series, and you're now watching the first of these. In this first series, we're going to get our basic functionality in. A camera that can orbit a character and the ability to move that character around through the world. Now, in the next series, we'll be enhancing that basic functionality to add gravity, to add the ability to slide, to add things like camera occlusion, dealing with camera occlusion as well as camera collision, things that we're not going to worry about here at the basic level. Once we make it to our third stage, we're actually going to show you how to bring in a bipedal character from Maya and get that connected in as well so that you can actually control animations when a character is running, jumping, performing any type of action, smoothly blend in between those, and have those transition throughout the moving process on the screen. But again, just to drive home, in this series, we're just starting with our basic functionality.
Shall we show them what we're going to start with?
Please.
All right. As you can see, we have our little capsule beam type character.
Yeah, and we'll show you how to make this guy if you really want to, though. I imagine half of you have already created one now that you've seen the video.
And as soon as I hit place, anybody who's watched the first set in this long series has already seen this level. We showed you how to bring this in from Maya, set it up, light it, and we showed some of the new features with Unity 3 with this very level. I have added a ramp to this, so you'll see me, or I'll show you where I've added that.
Yeah, no worries about the level. We actually talk exclusively about the level in an upcoming video.
Yep, you'll see all about it. But basically, what I want you to see is the fact that we move our character, and he always moves relative to our camera facing. So if I face this way and I hit forward, our character will turn to head away from our camera.
But we can completely orbit the camera full 360 degrees around, yeah?
We've decided to use, for our testing purposes for this system, holding down the right mouse button to orbit around our character. And the reason we chose this is most third persons, and you're probably familiar with, you just move the camera and the camera moves. Without move the mouse, the camera moves without any holding of the mouse button. But with testing and showing what's going on with the inspector and the project while the game's playing, the camera would move wildly, and we didn't want to do that. So we're actually forcing the right mouse button to be held to enable camera motion.
And this behavior might actually end up being useful to some of you if you're doing a game that is similar to an MMO where you need the ability to click on elements on the screen, and then on top of that you need the ability to move the camera. It may be helpful to have a modifier key to open up the ability to actually swing the camera around. Also, another game would be like a real-time strategy game where you're constantly clicking on elements like ground units, and I want to select this base and tell it to build 5 of these things and that sort of thing. But in these more modern RTS games, you also find yourself rotating the camera around to view the fight from multiple angles, in which case a modifier key once again comes in really handy.
So, and we can swing around and we can move.
Now, can we also dolly the camera in and out?
Yes, that's something else. I almost forgot about that. We have the ability to use our mouse wheel to dolly the camera all the way out to a max distance or all the way into a min distance.
And there's something subtle going on when you're doing that and when you're rotating the camera about the character that is a little bit hard to discern, I'm sure, because we're capturing at 10 frames a second. But there's actually a smoothing factor that is applied to our camera's motion. So it's not like a direct input transference. We're not taking exactly what's going on with the mouse wheel and feeding that right into the distance to the camera. We're actually smoothing that value out.
So, and we're going to show you how all that works, how to do it with the build of this character. Now, some of you who have already played with Unity 3 may have discovered that Unity 3 now ships with a third-person character system. And you're going, well, why do I want to watch these and make my own? Why don't I just use that one?
Well, the answers to that are many. The simplest and most straightforward answer being that Unity Technologies really intends that third-person controller that they included to be a good starting point. And since we don't really want you to, if you want to go ahead and bring in that third-person character.
Right. It's going to require a little bit of cleanup. I'm going to delete our character. Well, first of all, I'm going to save my scene.
Okay.
Then I'm going to delete our character. And we need to make a main camera because their system requires a main camera to be in the scene before you can bring it in and have it work automatically. So I'm going to create a new camera, hit F2 to rename it. I'm going to name it main camera. I'm going to tag it main camera so the system thinks it's a main camera. And position to about here. Tell the main camera to align with view. So we've got a position. Go to standard assets. I've already imported the character controllers that ship with Unity 3.
Sure.
We have a third-person controller. I can drag this out. He is in the middle of the floor, so I need to raise him up so he's slightly above the floor so he doesn't fall through it. So it looks like he's above the floor. And if I hit play, we should have their character controller.
Right. Now, at a glance, you might be thinking, well, yeah, but their character controller already has a bipedal character, and why wouldn't I want to just go ahead and use that? Well, as I was saying a moment ago, this character is really intended to be a starting place for you to create your own third-person controllers from. And what we wanted to do was, instead of starting from here and saying, all right, now copy-paste this, and we'll start modifying this code, and we'll do this and the other, basically just rebuild this in our own image using the Unity Technologies code as a base, what we'd rather do instead is start you off from ground zero.
Right.
Introduce you to the entire process of creating your own third-person character controller. Now, if you'd like, go ahead and run around.
Right.
And you can show us some of the features that we've got here.
Right. He actually has a walk cycle, and if you walk in one direction long enough, he speeds up slightly. They call it a trot. If I hit the left and right, that's actually turning him.
So already this is using a different style of motion than we are.
Right.
Where we are using our WSAD keys to move forward, backward, and strafe to the left and to the right. And then we're relying on the camera's rotation to handle the orientation of the character.
And with this system, right just makes him walk around a circle around the camera.
Right.
And if I switch up, he just walks around a circle in the other direction. Camera will automatically swing behind him if you stop. If you try to orbit the camera, that can't be done.
Yeah, no
with
dice.
this system. Now, if we try to walk through our geometry over here, which is really hard to do, you can see that the camera does not move to occlude, and our camera can go through our geometry.
Right. Now, given in this video series, so will our camera.
Right.
But what we're doing is we're building up in stages to something that, for our purposes, will easily surpass what is made available here in the default third-person controller.
Right. We have to start somewhere and get you familiar with a lot of the theory on how a camera system works and a controller system works, and we build it up in stages for you.
Well, I mean, do you want to show off and load up our final third-person controller?
I could.
Go for it. I realize it might take you a second of loading in a package or two or opening something up, but...
Let me delete that. We'll go ahead and import package. Let's go to our source assets, bring in our third-person setup, give it a sec to decompress our package.
Now, he'd already done this off camera for Unity's version.
And then if we hit import...
I was just thinking, I was like, I mean, you made ours look like it was just a capsule that floated around, and then Unity's has like this walking character. It'd be a really good idea, I think, to go ahead and show everybody what we're building up toward.
That's true. So, let's see. We already have a couple of scripts that are in our scene, which is causing some problems. So what I'm going to do is delete these scripts. So let me take... Actually, I don't want to delete them. I want to move them because we are going to need them for later sets. So I'm going to save them for posterity.
Okay.
So new folder and temp scripts. So just a new folder. You don't have to do this. I'm just doing it to show off.
The reason he's doing this is because a second ago when he loaded in our simple version, The simple version is really the building block from which our final version was created. And so a lot of the scripts that are included still exist in the final version, and now we're getting conflicts because we have multiple scripts with the same name. So he's going to clean that up real quick so that we can bring in our final version.
So this should move that folder out. So when I jump back into Unity, our scripts folder should go away.
And it looks like it's thinking about doing that for us
now. Now it's going to have to report it assets because I've modified the database. And let's hit Control R, update. So our script folder here is now gone. We have only our script folder here. No errors there, so everything should be fine. I should be able to take our character prefab right here, drag it, drop it in our scene.
Notice she didn't have to be moved up.
Right. Just our slide friction. I'm going to drop this down to about 0.6.
Yeah.
Now, I should be able to just hit play, and she jumps in.
All right.
Now, we can...
Now here's what we're aiming toward. Now, I want to throw this out as a disclaimer before Lee pushes another button. This would be the result of the series after the next series.
Right.
You're looking at the end result of Stage 3. And right now, this whole video set you're about to start watching is just Stage 1. You've got to go through Stage 1, then you got to go through Stage 2, then we'll show you how to put this together in Stage 3.
But just like all good things, it's worth the wait.
Yeah. So let's check it out. Let's see what she can do.
Well, we can right-click and orbit around the character.
Just like we could the capsule.
Mouse wheel in and out to dolly the camera.
And those systems are almost identical to what they were on the capsule character. They've just got a few additions.
Well, one of the problems that we have with the capsule is if we hit the floor,
yeah, we'd
go through it. This actually will skim along the floor and bring the camera in.
Right, we're colliding with the floor.
Yep. We can do the same thing with our obstacles. So if we get the camera in a position where it can no longer see the character, it fixes itself.
Yes, it does.
So
no problem of columns cutting us off from our character, even in a complex little zone like that, which is almost maze-like.
So if I run up here and the ceiling gets in the way?
Yep. Boom. Let's just jump right inside.
Right. So we have some other features that we have.
Oh, you're running away from there. They're really awesome.
Oh, no, I'm saving that one for last. All right. We save that one for last.
All right.
All right. So we have our little ramp. We can run up it. We can jump off.
And this is something that our capsule at the end of these videos won't be able to do. If he was to go up a ramp, there won't be any gravity to pull him back down. That'll just be his new elevation in the world.
Right. Now, right now, I don't have a slide animation on this character, so when I change the slide value, she's going to repeat an animation that isn't going to be the same as our final video.
Right, but you could always just create a sliding animation and put that in, and you'll know how to do that by the time we get done.
So if I select our character, go to our slide friction, and I bump this up to about 0.9, our character starts sliding down the hill.
Right.
Now, the animation she's doing is the fall animation.
Right.
And that is designed so if she gets to the edge of a cliff, she falls down the side of the cliff. Not so much so a gradual ramp.
Right.
Which is why she looks kind of funny there. But it does prove the fact that she will slide down a ramp. Now, kind of the tour de force. Zach here is so proud of this.
It worked out pretty well, I thought.
Yep, I think so.
Yeah.
So, we have this box here. And, you know, what's the point of having a third-person platform puzzler if you can't do what?
If you can't climb.
Right.
You gotta be able to climb.
We get close. Oh, you know what?
What?
Failed.
Why did you fail?
I didn't bring in the climbing volume prefab.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's something we will leave as precious bait to get you to keep watching, because our character is actually designed in such a way where she can climb up ledges like this. It's just right now we're still using a very simplified version of our level, which doesn't have the necessary background to allow that kind of activity. And we'll talk about how that works a little later on.
But we can do something else.
What can you do?
So I forgot all about the climbing volume. So I owe you guys at least a little bit of fun stuff.
Okay.
So let's take her and say for some reason she's 15 units in the air. So if I take her,
I know
zoom
what
up,
you're going to do.
here she is. Here's something you can't do with any of the Unity controllers. Let's play.
Hit play. And she goes into a ragdoll, and the camera just starts orbiting around her.
Yep, she died. So
obviously, there's a lot of things going on here. Sorry we can't actually show the climb in this video, but again, that's okay. We'll just consider that to be a hook to get you to keep watching.
Yeah, it was on purpose.
It was on purpose. That's right. That's right. So again, though, what you're seeing is the end result of the third stage of this process. Yeah. And over the next few videos, all right, Lee, all right, we've seen that. Go ahead. Actually, go ahead real quick. Stop that. Take her out of the scene. And let's bring in, if we can we go ahead and bring in our original one more time? I realize you got to swap out some scripts to do that.
To do that, I will have swap out scripts. I'll have to reload our scene.
So that's okay. They've already seen it in the beginning. If it's really a whole bunch of different things here.
Nah, it's not too bad.
Okay.
I don't want to save the scene, so that'll bring our character back in, and then I can bring up our folder where we saved our scripts. Drag this in, just drop it. This will bring in our scripts again. We need to delete out our other package so we don't have
any conflicts. Right.
So we should be able to play again.
Now this brings us back down to Earth.
Right.
So this is, again, what your goal is in this first stage. And you will be going from this cute little capsule guy to a character that can run around in the level, that can jump, where the camera gets occluded by all kinds of stuff, which it currently doesn't now, that can climb up objects, that can turn into a ragdoll if she falls too far. All of these things we're going to be adding, but this is where it all begins.
Right.
This is what you're going to be designing here. Again, a simple system where we can move a character around.
Yep. We're able to steer a character around. We can drive. We do have no occlusion, no camera stuff, but we'll get to that.
But it is a basis to start from. Go hit the ramp real quick. So we can completely orbit the camera around while we're stationary. And here's the problem I was talking about earlier. If we are up in the air at this stage of the game, there's no gravity. So all we've just done is defined a new elevation for our character. But again, just to make sure everybody's completely aware, this is just where it all begins. And you're going to learn a lot just in getting up to this stage. There's actually a lot of video and a lot of very in-depth theory to get you this far.
Right. And even after you've completed this set, the next set, and the bipedal set, and you get the character that you saw that we were playing with before, that in itself is only a starting point.
Right. You can go even further, and we will be exploring that even further in an upcoming course from 3D Buzz, where we're going to design our own MMO from ground zero, all the way from the bare bones, if you will. We're going to be offering that to 3D Buzz member sponsors. Seating will be very limited. If you're interested, please look into member sponsorship and inquire over on 3D Buzz, because there's so much information floating around about the MMO. We're trying to give constant updates as to where we are and how that's progressing. So there's plenty of info on that to be had over at 3D Buzz. But really, with that, I think we've got everybody introduced to what we're going to be achieving. We've shown them the end goal. We've given them something to compare up against. There's so much info even right here, but I think we're finally ready to get started.
I think so.
So in the next video, we're going to do something that is it's actually probably the most basic and simple thing you're going to see throughout this series. We're going to put together this little capsule character.
Well, that's not the next video. The next video, we're going to do the level intro.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah,
I'm going to talk about this actual level that we're looking at.
Right.
Then after that, we're going to create our character stand-in, which is going to be very, very simple. But there are some critical things that you will need to know about adding on a character controller component and things like that. So while you will be able to skip, I guess you could skip the next video if you really wanted to.
But I would put so much work into it.
Exactly. And you could probably skip at least the latter half of the character stand-in video. In the fourth video, then we're going to start jumping into the actual creation process. So there's just a little bit of preliminary stuff we're going to go through. But outside of that, I'm just ready to get started. So let's jump right into it. All right. Thanks a lot for watching.